Hail the Barbarian Horde! I'm Joe, and today I'm reviewing the Wonder Woman Conan comic book story. And this is a story that I read a little while ago, and I didn't do a review. Foolish of me. But now I'm doing one. Anyways, Wonder Woman is a character with a long history of comic book publication, going back to, I believe, 1941. Wonder Woman's abilities and character developed over the course of several decades, culminating in the Wonder Woman of the post crisis universe, which is probably the greatest Wonder Woman depiction to a large extent. A variant of this post crisis Wonder Woman character would appear in the Justice League animated series, where she was really well received and very well portrayed. Since then, she's been in a few movies, and she's obviously a very big female icon for very good reason. Now, on another note, the character has never really sold half so well as Batman and Superman and Spider-Man. This is not a slight against her, this is just the truth. Although I think that with a good team, with a good writer and art, probably produce a run that could challenge some of these characters. Arguably, in my opinion, Jeff Jones should have been put on her years ago, and that I'm referring to the era when he was writing for DC. I think that would have done a great job revamping the character and probably raising sales because, well, she's a great character, just a massively underrated one. That said, yes, I'm going to gush a little over her because I really do like Wonder Woman. I grew up with her. As for Conan, obviously I grew up with him mostly through the movie, and in recent years I've picked up the books and comic books. Conan as a character goes back to the 1930s and is arguably the greatest fantasy icon of the modern age, and is a character whom needs no introduction. In terms of modern mythology, he's the greatest mythological figure of Texas, and his stories are the mythology of Texas, arguably. Conan is a character whom is the only one who can stand as tall as Aragorn, possibly physically and also as an icon. The Hour of the Dragon is a great work that stands the test of time and is a good rival to Lord of the Rings. I've really enjoyed reading it thus far. All that aside, arguably putting these two together in the same comic book should be an immediate runaway success and a great deal of fun. But this issue's kind of so-so at best. It's actually kind of impressive that this thing is so mediocre. On the one hand, it starts off well, starting off with Conan. This is how you should start the story because he's arguably the greater icon. On the other hand, we'll get to that in a minute. Conan is busy rescuing some guy from bandits, whom he does in, and then he proceeds to escort the schmuck to a local city which has its own coliseum and whatnot. And the star attraction is obviously Diana, who has had some sort of amnesiac spell cast on her. I'm not sure about the particulars of that. I've always thought she was resistant to magic due to the blessings given to her by Aphrodite and Hera. But for the sake of this story, okay. That aside, Diana is the most powerful and dangerous gladiator, or gladiatrix, or whatever the term for a female gladiator is, there is, which that makes sense. She, on the other hand, still has some inkling of what she really is in the form of her training and muscle memory and the dreams she sometimes has. This part of the story is actually a little solid. I'm going to grant you. Weirdly, the opening Conan stuff was a little so-so, dull to an extent. But the Wonder Woman stuff's the solid stuff. And no wonder, since it's Gail Simone writing, and Gail Simone is obviously more interested in Wonder Woman, which, fair enough, she's written her for a number of years. The problem is that Conan is revealed on his end to have had as his first love a young girl called Jana. Now, Conan, watching Diana, is utterly convinced that she is his childhood sweetheart, Jana. And I'm actually going to admit I don't really like this idea. I know it's weird. I know you need to have the two forge some sort of connection or friendship or something. But this seems a little forced for me. And I don't mind inserting the idea that Conan had one crush or friend from his childhood in Samaria. But this, I don't know. I just find it misunderstands Conan in a way, as he's a bit of a lonely character in regards to his childhood. He was born on a battlefield and left his homeland to pursue his own path. And arguably, Dark Horse does a great job fleshing out his childhood and giving it a lot of sentimentality and beauty. On the other hand, while Conan is loved by and admired by his village, you get a sense that he's somehow apart from them. He's alone. And that he himself had to deal with the darker side of his village as well, of course. But I don't know how to describe it. It's just the Dark Horse run was really solid on Conan's childhood. And ever since then, I kind of prefer that interpretation of it to this. And I just think that this might not be the best choice for how to kind of bring them together. I don't have any better ideas for the moment, so I'll just have to suck it up. That said, arguably, Conan is not someone who just resorts to sentimentality when he wants someone. Arguably, his courting of, for example, Baelit and Valyria are a case in point, where he generally comes off as a little crude and crass with them, just saying, I want you, and I'm determined to have you. And eventually he wears them down. But of course, these ladies are charmed by him because he's genuinely a great guy. And arguably he's, well, Conan. Every woman in his stories wants him. The only time there's ever sentimentality put forward ahead of everything else was Zenobia, and she was the one who aggressively pursued him. And that's its own thing. And it's so well written. Read Hour of the Dragon. Trust me, read that. There's a great scene there. Similar to this one, actually. So, kudos here. I will grant you. Kudos here to Gail Simone. There's a good reference to Hour of the Dragon, except in there, Conan is the one in chains, and Zenobia is the one seeking to free him, because she's always loved him. So, it's just that Conan is very guarded with himself when it comes to his heart. And it's due to the tragedies and difficulties he's suffered through. But ultimately, I will grant you the earnestness that Gail kind of approaches him with is true to an extent to the character. I think that maybe this needed another draft in terms of the writing. But I don't mean that in a mean way. I think she's on the right track. So, yeah, mixed reaction there. Now, real quick, the art of this comic is just phenomenal. No criticism there. So anyways, And the coloring is also perfect. No criticism there. Now, at the end of the issue, Conan, spoilers alert, il finit par être, he's knocked out because a bunch of guards sneak up on him. This I don't like. Conan is very guarded and he's got the instincts of a wolf. Or better yet, a lion, I guess, since that's his totem animal. Conan is very, very, very guarded and very difficult to sneak up upon. So, unless he's drunk, which happens pretty often in some stories, there's no sneaking up on him. It's one thing to sneak up on Wonder Woman. I will reluctantly grant you, it has been done, it can be done, and she can be rendered unconscious. On the other hand, Conan, no, that's not happening. I don't even see Batman being able to sneak up on him. And I am a Batman fan, but I just don't see it. And it's just that Conan, you got to bear in mind, it's the same archetypal character as Aragorn. And how difficult is it to sneak up on Aragorn, LSR? So bear that in mind. That aside, now I'm going to rate this first issue. I'm going to rate it a 2. No, it's just passable. Now, bear in mind, my rating is between 0 and 4. 0 is abominable, 4 is perfect. So this is a 2. It's right smack in the middle. There's nothing really to get up in arms about this issue, but it could be better. It's just a little dull, but it's a good start, I guess. Like I said, I've got my particular criticism, but would I revisit this issue? Sure. So take that as you will, and stay tuned for the next review of this comic or whatever other review I do. And don't forget, if you enjoyed this video, to smash that like and that subscribe button as though you were Conan and Zenobia on their honeymoon smashing their enemies to itty-bitty pieces.